they will not be able to function. So you needed a system that will enhance the carrying capacity of the ecosystem so that they will come back to life and be able to operate and perform the functions required of them. Like my chairman has mentioned, this ecosystem have a lot of benefits which we can derive. Some the plant you can utilize them for medicinal purpose, for managing our health and so on. So all these are benefits we derive from the ecosystem of which we are destroying. So once they are gone, all these benefits we may not be able to get it. So we need to go back to see how we can restore and rehabilitate those ecosystems so that they continue to perform the function we want them to achieve. So this is very important. And the three principles are behind all this activity. Now, so that is brief about ecohydrology and how it works. Any question at this moment? You are free to ask questions. Before we move to the next is how do we now implement ecohydrology in our various catchments, in our various places? We are going to look at how we do that. Yes?
Question.
Thank you very much for the lecture.
Thank you.
You said in a situation where the carrying capacity of the water body is a part exceeded, that you could actually get wetland where you could maybe discharge waste to help that. Now, if such a waste is high density, and you don't do any preliminary treatment before you discharge, won't that eventually get to the groundwater and now pollute the water we're going to use? If there's no proper treatment, just pollute that. Like in the, let's say effluent from fuel stations, high amount of nutrients and all from even steel plants like this, where we have high amount of iron. So that we just put it that way, put it go back to that.
I will hold on that question. There is a stage when I come, I will answer. Yes. Okay, that was I will answer it when I come to that stage. Any other question apart from this?
Maybe a question. I don't know whether it's a conclusion because we're talking about the river and trying to purify. You know, the river has the self-purification quality. Yes, we also know that very important to that is the vegetation that's around the river. And the way it's designed is that you have what do you call it? Freshwater, swamp forest. And in nature, and of course you have the freshwater swamp forest that helps to purify also. So I would have thought that there should be a way when you talk about having a buffer zone around most rivers to ensure that those vegetation are met, to ensure that the river is also, as the water moves, it's also protected and filtered also. So that's just a thought. And another thought is that we talk about, I've observed I've worked with a number of creeks, and I found out that most people, it's in our culture that you go to the river to do everything, you don't waste everything there. So those people, if they had good other alternatives, I don't think they will go. So there's a lot we still need to do in your directory of educating people. Then also there has to be some synergy with the other, like waste management. If there is a proper waste management plan, we won't have people who don't. And is that aspect of that been sorted out? So I just finished.
Thank you very much. What she has said is all in line with what we are talking about, and it's very important. And then with reference to the buffer, I will come to it. There is also a section that deals with that. Now we can see how you can utilize the buffer and how important they are, because they play a very fundamental function in protecting riverine body. Okay, so we are going to move into the implementation. Now, the method of application of ecohydrology is based on about 4 steps. 1, assessment of threat. The first thing you do if you want to implement ecohydrology is to assess what are the threats. What are the threats, either your environment or your water body. So you must identify Then the next thing that you need to do, then you now evaluate and assess the cost effect. Every trade must have a source. Every trade that you see have a source. Identify the source. It is when you identify a source of a problem that you will address the problem. But if you don't identify the source, you will find it difficult to address the problem. So the first thing is to identify the trade. The next thing is to identify the source of the trade. What is causing the trade? Then the next thing is development of method of system solution. Now, based on the trade, the source of the trade, you can now sit down and design what kind of system can I come up with that will address that trade based on the source. So that is the development of the system solution. Then lastly is the monitoring. He has mentioned monitoring as a very key important. You have to monitor to see the effectiveness of the system you are bringing in. Is it working? If it is not working, what will I do to modify the system? I can now go back to modify it and now apply it. And if it works, fine, you are good to go. So these 4 steps are very necessary when you want to implement ecohydrology. So assessment of trade, you need to identify and quantify the trade. It's seasonal, spatial variation, and so on. So you need to sit down and look at the trade. Then evaluate the cost effect. Quantification of the cost effect relationship to determine the trade and its costs is very important. Or if it is wastewater and then there are maybe heavy metals, you know, where is the wastewater coming from? From so-so industries or from so-so places. Then you need to look at the place, okay, what can I do in between this to be able to address it? So you must be able to identify the problem and analyze it. So identifying the hierarchy of factors influencing the dynamics of the trade. Some are a bit amplified by one reason or the other. Then you look at what are those factors that amplify it. So all this you need to identify and measure. Then you can now go back to the report and see what can I put in place to address all these issues. I hope we are understanding.
Yes.
So the next is development of method / systems solution. Then you can now develop method to control the drivers and causes of the trade. And then by so doing, the trade will disappear. So your target is what? Those factors that are causing or driving the trade. You now need to find a way of curtailing them. Yes, my chairman.
What I want to like bring up, most of these trades, something I say,
Yes.
most of them we are very used to it, we don't know. Like mechanic question. That's change their carbon.
Yeah.
What you use in media
Put their batteries.
trade.
Yeah.
So I know in our market itself,
Yeah.
we don't have trading on daily basis.
Yes.
Where they put time cassava.
Uh-huh.
And that was that, and there are all sorts of trades. So all of them wash down the river where it is from. I want you all to bring it down to what we see every day in our community.
So you can see, so all these factors is coming from this community and moving to where? Then you can see from this community to this here. What can I put in between to control this before moving into my water? So these are the techniques. You need to identify where the sources of the effect are coming. I hope we are getting it. So now, once you have identified, then you need to what? Monitor. How effective is that system that I put in place to control? If it is not effective, you go back to the drawing board and see, okay, what can I put in place to ensure that it is more effective and address the issues that I wanted to. So this is very key. Ecohydrology needs this kind of a system to be able to do that. Yes?
I'm Victoria.
Yeah.
As regards this monitoring,
Yes.
I want to ask, is there an international body, for example, for companies, the permission of my boss, for example, like our company now, there are some certain things that we never do. Despite the expanse of land, we have some certain protocols that we dedicated for, like we call them conservation area.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what we want to use the land for, we dare not, based on those international bodies that are monitoring. So for companies, for other companies, like she was mentioning something like effluent, that when they are discharging their effluent, are there bodies that monitors those companies that they will be able to comply? We, even though we want to use the hectares of land that have been dedicated for conservation, we dare not, because those bodies, they are there, they will come and monitor. So, like this ecohydrology, are there bodies that will monitor such?
Yeah. Actually, what ecohydrology does is that is why we say there is a stakeholders team. Those that are responsible for monitoring and enforcement of the laws that are supposed to work in synergy with ecohydrology to be able to achieve that. For example, if I bring my systemic solution, yes, it is working, but I also need the enforcement of those who are having the responsibility to do that, to make it more effective.
It's not like
Yes. So, aha. For example, discharge of effluent is a more responsibility of environment.
Yeah. No. You are right.
No, feel free. Two of you, I will give a year to solve. So, yes, sir. You have anything to contribute here?
I don't want to calling them for.
Hello, let's listen.
Thank you very much for my Royal Highness.
Thank you, sir.
Royal Highness, up to all of that. Like you said, influence, although we have consultants that we sent out to do this monitoring, you know, like one would say, there's a Nigerian factor. Yes. See, if we say we want to enforce this regulation, we have an act. For example, the Delta State Environmental Protection Act has to do with all those effluents and all those things. But in the past 16 years, the government has not employed this more hands to go around, even in the health, in the environmental health. So that is a challenge to policy makers or our organ law.
So thank you very much. You have from me. Okay, I'm coming. I will give you a chance. You wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doctor.
Yeah?
Okay, let me stop first.
Okay.
Look, doctor.
Okay.
Who is talking?
No, you started. Because when he raised his hand, your hand was also.
Yes, because what she said, said agencies, regulatory bodies. You see, that's why we cannot mention that we have failed institutions.
Yes.
These things are there. Look at these health officers.
Yes.
These health officers, they have responsibilities that they don't even know.
Of course.
Yes.
And that goes beyond national, like
But from local government, start from the local government to the state and the national and international. Let me get to politicize everything in this whole sector. Imagine, you can't even do anything without somebody to say, oh, I know someone that knows someone that will say, so that is why even she is not aware that these things are there. We've compromised everything in our system. And that is our problem today. That's why she's not even aware that there are regulatory bodies that check all these things.
Yes. And what you are
Just
saying.
like, sorry, sir. Not just like the flood issue.
Yeah.
They've already warned the agencies. They say, instead of NEMA is already giving us science and everything, but we are not until this thing will happen before we start waking up.
Exactly.
They've even projected, put a dam. When this dam from Cameroon,
Flood. You now have something to attenuate.
but nobody will do anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what he is saying, you see, what we are having is like a bottom-up approach. At the international level, yes, there are regulations, but we also have our local one, such that because the international people will not come here to say they will be monitoring, so we must have people here, and that is what he is saying. We have regulatory institutions who are responsible for that.
Thank you. You asked a question, but you started with a very strong, with a very positive premise.
Yes.
That you had a conservation area.
Yeah.
So what informed you to do that? Means that you are conscious of your responsibility, which is kudos to your company.
Yes.
It is kudos. So it is self-monitoring.
Exactly.
Because you said you will never do anything in that conservation, that area is designated. So it's self-monitoring.
Exactly.
So maybe you are asking for somebody to come and say you are
Good.
doing well or you're not doing well. So because it is a local thing.
Yeah.
It's a local thing because natural resources are owned by the locals. By the locals. So all of us are caretakers.
Exactly.
So I give kudos to your company for being deliberate, in your actions. Your actions. And leave it at that point. As a matter of fact, you now have within your organization, some self-regulating process.
Exactly.
That maybe a new management comes in and say, why will you leave that bush there? I'm going to go do something there now. And it will be very clear that you don't then touch it. It's already there. And you become an influencer to other companies too. You become an advocate. You start asking other people to come and see what you are doing.
Exactly.
So, and that in that case, you start spreading this good news of us owning this water body, or rather this resource. So I think your in-house system should be strengthened.
Yes.
That's very important.
Exactly.
Of course, everybody is watching you. The whole world is watching you. And you'll be shocked. Somebody will say, wait a minute, let's go to that company. They are doing the right thing. So you'll be attracting the best.
Exactly.
But just make sure you maintain your own status. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm particularly struck by this environmental issue. When I did my doctoral study,
Sir, can you see that?
I felt I'm okay like this.
Okay,
Thank you
sir.
very much.